Now we are. Hello and welcome to Ask the Right Questions. I am Slim, and over there is Race, the Revelator.
What's up?
What are you going to be revelating about today?
My day off from the internet was a long, glorious day without stress and anxiety and learning about the clown world that is outside. Um, you've had breaks from the internet before, so I thought we could talk about this. And I don't know. I
I have done breaks on the internet. I should do another one. It's been quite a while.
yeah, I think it's very good to take breaks from the madness that is going on in the world today. Um, it came to me because all the stuff that I usually enjoy doing on the internet, listening to podcasts, reading an article, um, it was all just getting too much. It was just getting too noisy. Like my brain didn't want to. All the things I usually enjoy doing, my brain didn't want to do anymore, and I just kind of wanted to sit there and think, like, and not even have any sound or any music or any podcasts. And I realized that I was just constantly filling my time with stuff, like constantly keeping my brain stimulated and entertained. And then my brain was just kind of like finally giving up, like, dude, I don't want to do anything. And
Sure.
so I also wasn't being productive, scrolling through social media too much. Um, it literally replicates a casino pulling the lever, and you just keep going and going. And I was like stopping myself, realizing I was spending too much time.
That's the way websites work now. You scroll to the bottom, then another page loads. It's because you don't know what's there. You don't know what's there.
Yeah,
It could be the
it's
dankest meme
endless.
you ever found in your entire life. You just don't
And
know.
I love enjoying dank memes. I love, I want to go through Twitter and see something to respond to and maybe get some traction um, to get my art out there and everything. But it's just it's just too much time wasted. You don't even realize how much time you spend scrolling and looking at things. And I had tons of tabs open. That's all from social media, just buried in tabs. And oh, I'll read this later. Oh, I'll watch this later. Oh, I'll read this later. And it's just like sitting there on your computer
Hundreds.
constantly.
Well, for you, it's hundreds of tabs.
Yes.
Literally,
Yeah.
we're not joking.
And we're
Hundreds.
not.
It actually is hundreds.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
just.
and he cries when you try and get rid of him.
I mean, even when it slows down my computer, I'm like, I can't lose all of these. It's maddening. It's insane.
Eventually, after a year or so, his browser crashes and he loses them.
Yeah. Yeah. Every once in a while, I lose them all. Yeah.
So
And I never find the right tab organizer or saver either.
there isn't a real thing. There is something that will, if you have if you have a Kindle, it will automatically send a web page to your Kindle in the form of a book. This just sounds like another
Mhm.
way to delay the inevitable. I don't use it.
Yeah, I mean,
I want
I
to read
have
actual
like,
books.
I have files on my computer of tabs from years ago, and it's like I'm never gonna get to those. Just give up. I just give up eventually.
They are good articles, but you can't read it all. You
Yeah,
can't watch it
yeah.
all.
Nope.
So
I probably should cut some subscriptions on YouTube too. It's just getting too much to watch every day and keep up with, even though I want to. So yeah, I said I need to shut off the computer for a day. I need to shut off the internet.
that is one thing I never fell into was subscribing to too many people. I am extremely picky about subscribing
Hmm.
to channels. A lot of it's music, which isn't too distracting.
Well, I'm always just afraid I'm going to forget the person eventually, and then I won't. When they post a new video, I won't see
I
it.
know what you mean. There isn't a lot of people I want to follow that much. I do have quite a few music channels, but that's not too distracting.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like we've all had that thing where we found something on the internet, found a video, we found an article, and then we can't find it again. It's like, oh, I wish I had saved it. and then it gets into a hoarding thing,
Yeah, I try to
digital
avoid it. I
hoarding.
try to avoid it. I do. I try to avoid that as much
Yeah.
as I can. I do. I hoard anime and video games
Hmm.
and I have external hard drives with those and
Yeah.
movies now.
So
So why is it
so
good to take a break?
well, yesterday I I tried to leave the computer off as much as possible. I also books that I don't read, and I read some of those. Um, I drew some stuff for my poems. I wrote a new poem. I needed the internet to look up some things, but I didn't turn it on because I knew I would it would suck me in. Um, it's good to like look up a thesaurus sometimes if you want to use a different adjective.
I have that open all the time for writing.
Yeah, I was like, I can't turn it on. Um, and I took a nice nap, went out for a walk with my brother. Um, just kind of spent a lot of time just sitting around thinking. Um, I also was doing a lot of research on Myers Briggs, and I'm an INFJ, and I was looking up all the different functions, and my dominant function was the NI, which was introverted intuition, and it's like this basically the subconscious. It's this very mysterious thing going on inside your head. Uh, Kind of a world of ideas that you don't know about, things that could bubble up to the surface that you're not conscious of. So they said when you're doing a lot of kind of like meaningless tasks and don't have a lot going on, your brain can start working on other things. And coming out of the shower, I was having epiphanies and things that were like I was getting stuck on. I suddenly came up with the answer out of nowhere. Now I know which direction to go in. So I thought I should give my brain more time to not be distracted, not always having to listen to a podcast, even though I'll fall behind, not always having to watch a movie or play a game. I can just have it sit there and it can work on other things, all the other ideas or things swirling around inside my head. So I left it time to do that. And I think I'm going to do this way more often. There was a quiet and a peace that I hadn't had in a long time because every day going on social media, every day keeping up with the news and the culture war, it is just like shocks of stress because the world's going crazy. It's a clown world, and I mean social justice and just politics in general, the craziness of politicians, and just where the culture's going, the way things are falling apart. It's just all too much sometimes. And I realized that that was causing me a lot of stress and anxiety, which I'm already prone to having.
Um,
So I think your brain needs a break. I think that's why you should take a break from the internet because your brain needs time to focus on other things, focus on the subconscious things that you don't know about that are going on in there. And your brain can, your nerves, whatever's going on, can focus on some of those mysterious things and solutions to your problems. And um, you're not constantly distracting yourself, and time was moved so much slower too. The day was so long, you know when your brain's I mean there is times when it goes fast, if you don't when you're just kind of sitting there thinking about things, but I felt like the day was just longer and just more enjoyable. And I don't think and humanity hasn't lived like this for most of its history. um
there was never a time with so many distractions. The distractions is just the worst part.
it's not just distractions, it's constant information. Just a constant storm, a flux of
Or it can
information
be.
coming at you.
I have. I used to have that problem of the inflood of information. I have gotten over that. A lot of
Yeah.
times, a lot of times it's just art references, writing information, that kind of stuff. I have a handful of tabs saved that open up with my browser every time now. So the first thing I see is those.
Hmm.
So the first thing is not typing in youtube.com.
Oh yeah, well I've been using the toolbar for forever now. Just all my links on the top and I can just open those up. But and then I pin the most important tabs to the top on Vivaldi and all that. But
But if you
um,
can, the issue for me is lot of my writing is done on the computer. I don't think anybody can argue that it's better to freehand writing anymore. I mean, editing becomes hell if you
mhm.
do that. There's no way I can go back to a typewriter and it's actually better for me. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, it makes
Even correcting a simple typo is quite a while on that.
makes you think how daunting it must have been to edit to just have a typewriter back then. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
people writing books.
it was a lot faster than writing by hand. I mean, obviously, it was quite the evolution from writing by hand. I don't think we can deny that.
Yeah.
But I got that. The switching to the iPad from my computer for drawing rather than a Wacom tablet helped a lot too, because I don't use the iPad for anything but art. I don't do anything else
Hmm.
on it. So if I need to look up a reference, I actually need that reference, and I'm only looking up that reference because I find going around the internet on a phone or a tablet to be annoying. So I don't have any desire to try and explore Reddit or something like that on there.
Hmm.
So if I'm looking up a reference, it's easy to do. But as for my past breaks from the internet, I took a few long ones. That was when I did those, I actually improved as an artist the most.
Hmm.
What was I going?
How long did they last? And was it just cutting certain websites, or did you have some stuff open?
Well, you should know because you get mad at me for disappearing for a couple of weeks from the internet, and not talking to you.
I mean, yeah, I forgot how long that was, but I remember
But
Danny's like,
I did it a couple
"Where is
times.
he?" Yeah, yeah, but you told me beforehand the other times.
The last time I did it, it was for reason. It was for emotional reasons. I won't get into on here.
Yeah, yeah.
It
But before that, you told me you
that
were
was a
gonna.
very personal reason. A couple times before that, I did a week or two. Those couple of times.
Hmm.
Danny had never seen one before. He had never
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
one before. But those are the times I improved the most as an artist.
So it was just a week, or no more than a week, and you have anything else open that would have connected you to the internet, or it was a clean break?
Um, it was it was a mostly clean break because I had some books I was reading for reference instead, doing the lessons in those.
Hmm.
I had actual books. But I won't say I didn't go online. I probably pulled out my crappy. I had a crappy laptop at that time. I probably pulled it for references or something. But I didn't. It wasn't much internet,
Yeah.
if any. Though, but it was focused a lot more. I mean, there's nothing to distract you. You have nothing to do. I mean, I guess you could play a video game, but I didn't do that. What about you, Race? Did you play Smash Brothers? No, you didn't, because you would have been online. You would have been playing
Yeah.
online.
Yeah. I mean, like I had taken a long nap in the middle of the day, and then when it got to midnight, I had the whole entire day just quiet, not doing much. I read some of a book, and then I started a painting, and I did that in silence, where I usually would have a podcast going. So when it got to midnight, I was like, well, I'm waiting for the paint to dry, so I just turned on the internet, and it was kind of like immediate stress came because you know
Because
I had turned
of what I left in your inbox.
yeah, you sent me the you sent me the Keemstar interview with Etika. He's telling me that bananas are going to make me a god. I'm just like, okay, no. Like, just see someone having a schizophrenic episode for the world to see on the
Well,
internet.
everything on the internet is some kind of shock value now.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's not shock value, though. A lot of it's shocking things happening. There's more censorship. There's just social justice is getting more crazy. It's like a postmodern world where everyone's just floating around in chaos. No one has any principles that they live by. Um, Politics is a big persuasion game and promises of free stuff that will never come. And it's I'm just sick of all of it. I mean, it's been 10 years now keeping up with politics. Um, it doesn't feel as long as 10 years, but um, I mean, isn't it that we read more information than we ever read before because of the internet too?
Well, yeah, it's like a trope that boomers say kids don't read anymore. But as soon as when the internet came out, people are reading more than ever. I
Yeah,
guess you could argue it's
just
not quality, but they are reading.
even just like headlines, it's probably more than the average boomer
Oh
read
yeah,
back in
yeah.
his day.
I mean, for me, archive.org is where I get. I would never have read as much as I have. I'm talking about real books. Go on
Yeah.
archive.org, you can find all kinds of free public domain books. That's where I get my books from and I read them. I would never have read as much as I do
Mhm.
without the internet if you had to pay for them all.
And then it's just constant articles, interesting articles that you want to read, you want to get around, at least get around to.
You could say
And
YouTube is kind of killing it off in a way because with the rise of internet video has definitely taken a chunk out of that. Because before that, the internet was all text.
mhm.
But now there's YouTube where you watch people go over an article for you.
I was listening to a podcast where they they were reading from a gaming magazine with like the 10 best websites to find cheat codes, and one of the web pages had a song that didn't stop playing. it's like it's like even like the MySpace pages, you put one of your favorite songs up there,
I remember
and
that.
then like you got to have a pause button on there. Like sometimes they didn't have pause buttons.
Well, nowadays they give you the button to mute a certain tab, so you can do
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
before that, there was extensions that would disable any kind of autoplayer.
hmm Um, yeah, podcasts and even just like podcasts on YouTube, and I mean sometimes the video is kind of pointless, but
Yeah,
just
you're big in the podcasts.
yeah. I mean what we're doing here is kind of a podcast.
It is, yeah. Personally,
I
for
mean
me,
you can
I
see
do.
us and you could talk in the chat if you want, but it's just kind of two people talking for a long period of time, for an hour or two.
Personally, I do absorb information a lot better by reading it or seeing it.
I've always got it better by listening. Um, so I guess I do. I mean, and I do like audiobooks and stuff. So I think people are doing that more too because they can instead of the tedious tasks being like boring or frustrating, they can just kind of fill. They can get through something interesting while they're doing stuff that they just have to do, doing chores, laundry, all that.
Well, yeah, yeah.
So.
For me, I typically do music. I do music in the background because music inspires me more than anything.
Mhm.
If I have writer's block, finding the right song gives me the answer.
See, I can have music I already listen to in the background, but I usually find that music kind of takes up like 75% of my attention. If I'm doing something else while listening to music, music is taking up more of the attention and affecting me more.
That's probably the downside of you actually studying music.
What do you mean?
Well, you actually study music, so you understand composition,
I don't,
being in tune, all that stuff.
well, I study it. But
You've actually made
I,
music. You've made music. There's an album.
yeah, but I wouldn't call myself like a musician. I can't play an instrument or read music. I just learn a lot about it. Um,
Well, I sent you a song, and you actually told me that guitar was out of tune, and I didn't. I have no, I don't have any idea. I have no idea.
well, you know what a sour. I mean, you know a sour note.
Maybe if it's really sour,
Mm.
like
Well, I
like it
mean,
just sticks out, like like this. What the hell is that thing?
well, when you listen to reggae, you know that's the offbeat. You know that's no.
I don't know at all. I know nothing.
Okay. That's something too. Like there's Adam Needley and some of his videos like about music theory. I watch them, but I can't really apply it.
When
And I did make an album, but I worked with a producer, so I haven't really been deep in the trenches of like fully making my own music, recording it,
well, it's
producing
a
it.
thing I heard about. It's like typically what you're most passionate about. Any kind of inspiration makes you think of that, how to apply it to your passion. Like when I hear music, I'm thinking about stories, creating a
Hmm.
story, usually animation.
Yeah, that's what Tarantino does with his movies. He kind of writes a scene along with the song.
That's what it is to me. Like music makes me imagine a story. It makes me imagine a world, characters, all that.
Hmm.
When I like I never think about making a song. So it's not who I am, I guess.
Yeah,
But if I'm creating a story, I do think about the music that would be in it.
right.
So it's applying it to that. But here you go. I found something, Race, about internet addiction.
Okay.
I hadn't heard about this one before. It's called novelty addiction, or have you heard of popcorn brain? Have you heard of popcorn brain? I
Nope.
have not. It's a recent phenomenon that describes when a brain becomes so accustomed to the constant stimulation of electronic multitasking that it becomes more difficult to live life offline, where things pop at a much slower rate. You may know this as novelty addiction.
Hmm.
Try this. Visit Do Nothing for 2 minutes and do exactly as the website says. Sit still and do absolutely nothing for 2 minutes. According to the website's creator, the average time on the site is 58 seconds.
Oh
Can
my
you make it
God.
all the way to 2 minutes? If you can't, then you may suffer from popcorn brain, the urge to always be doing something. Try taking a break from the internet, allow your mind to reset, and rediscover the value of being still. When you come back, I guarantee that your sense of focus and contentment will be greater than before.
Hmm.
That's something I want to touch on is that multitasking, well, I won't say for everybody, but it's really bad for artists to be multitasking. Creating needs
Yeah.
your full attention.
Hmm. I'm starting to find that's more true as time goes on. Um, I love listening to music and podcasts while I'm drawing or doing something, but um,
Music helps me. I do find it truly does help me stay focused. Because it fades into the background for me, and
yeah.
it kind of I don't know what the word it kind of encompasses me into what I'm
If I
doing.
if I really like an album and I just want to keep listening to it, then it can kind of fade in the background and it's just part of my enjoyment of things I've already heard kind of over and over again. And then I can do something else. But if I'm listening to new music, I find my brain wants to give it more attention. Because even on, if I'm going somewhere with family on a long car ride, I need to have my MP3 player. I'll go crazy, and I um and I really focus on the music when I'm just, sitting there in the car. Um, have it turned all the way up, listening to every instrument
Well,
and every part of it. So,
the biggest, something they always advertise, a really early advertisement about computers when GUIs came out was multitasking. It's a great thing everybody can multitask. I don't think that's a good thing a lot of times.
yeah, probably. I mean, there's the Richard Williams book where he's like, "Oh, what kind of music do you listen to when you animate?" He's like, "What? Listen to music? I can't do more than two things at once. I'm not that smart. My brain's not that capable." And I think I read it's not that we're multitasking, but we're like multi-purposing
Here's a
is a
picture, the
is a
exact
more important
picture.
term. Yeah.
I'm not smart
Um.
enough to think of more than one thing at a time. And that is, who was it that said it to him? I forget who said it to him.
Uh.
Oh yeah, Milt Kahl said it. It was Richard Williams asking Milt Kahl why he doesn't listen to music
Yeah.
while animating.
Which he listens to. He was asking him if you listen to classical,
Yeah,
which is actually really good for the brain and is very good background music in my opinion,
it is.
along with jazz.
I d- the correct music for whatever I am doing in the story is always. It helps me a lot. Like it helps me get into the scene.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Um, it's just tough though because you have a lot of stuff you wanna. There's so much interesting stuff coming at you on the internet every day. You have lots of videos you want to watch and podcasts you want to listen to. And so if you're going to do something boring, that's just going to be like a tedious just thing
It's
that you
hard because
have to
it's right
do.
there at your fingertips all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you want that tedious task to have more purpose than just the task itself. So it's hard not to do something and listen to a podcast at the same time. I like doing that with video games. I play more games where I don't have to listen to it, so I can have an opportunity to listen to the podcast, and it does help me focus more. I sometimes find if I'm just sitting there with the podcast, my brain will start drifting off, or I'll get distracted by something in front of me. Whereas if I'm just like playing Tetris and listening, I focus better.
I do listen to podcasts at work because I don't really give a shit about what I'm doing. There. It's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
true for a lot of people. I mean, it's just a
yeah.
fact. At home, I don't because I don't. I mean, I don't know how you can write and listen to somebody talk.
I'd love a I really want a job where I can be by myself and listen to things.
What about
That's like a dream job.
me playing a game? Music is an important part of the experience. Not for
Of the
you.
game.
Yeah, about games. Yeah,
Yeah, but
you're
it can
throwing
get
away all that work
yeah, but it can get repetitive after a while. It,
in a fighting game. Yeah,
it just, well,
not anything
even
else.
just in any game, if you're hearing a song over and over again, especially having trouble on a part and you're doing it over and over again, and then you don't like the song, it's like I gotta listen to something else while I do this. And I don't, video game music even today is not particularly like amazing. Like you want to listen to it over
Hey, a
again.
lot of games, a lot of games have great soundtracks.
They do.
It is certainly a lot more creative than movie soundtracks. Movie
Yeah, I
soundtracks are
guess.
so fucking boring
I guess
and
that's true.
bland. They all have the same soundtrack.
Have you heard of temp music?
With temp music.
So, so they'll use like directors will use temporary music in
Why do they even
a
hire
movie
somebody? Because I swear all of them use the same shit.
because they don't want to pay for the licenses to the
So,
song.
so they actually are doing it from an archive.
Yeah, they're if they don't want to get the license, they basically have a composer who's already making music for the movie make something similar.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So it's
so
so
so movie composers basically have to remix, well, not
the
remix.
only time you hear about movies having a good soundtrack is when it's licensed from bands or music or actual professional musicians like pop music or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, it's
Well,
licensed music from cool bands. It's
yeah, well,
it's not their own music.
Tarantino's somehow able to get all those songs. And movies do it once in a while, but yeah, apparently that's one thing that music composers complain about. He was like, temp music is the bane of my existence because the director will sit there with the same song for years and years
Well,
in the edit.
I saw that somebody said that the Marvel movies have good musical scores. I'm like, what do you? I didn't even notice that it's so bland. Have you even noticed the music
In
in Marvel
most movies.
movies?
Oh yeah, no,
No, you don't even
no,
notice it, right? You don't.
no,
It's so bland.
because it's just melodies made for moving the scene. It's not really a melody for its own sake, an enjoyable melody to just to listen to. So yeah, so they have to make fan art of other songs, basically.
It's terrible.
I guess
That's
you could
terrible
call it
stuff.
that. Yeah. Um,
So is that the internet's fault?
it's copyright law's fault.
Yeah. Novelty. So I did want to. Oops, I didn't mean to click on that. 59 seconds. Where was I? I was going to talk about something and I forgot. But yeah, particularly. So the internet gives you all the information in the world, but that is a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Because the info. So when you took your break from the internet, did you found it a lot easier to focus on your painting?
I just had to focus on what was, yeah, focus on my painting and
Was it
art, but
totally
also
quiet? No music?
yeah, no,
No
it was
music.
totally
No
quiet. Yeah.
music. So did you find that better? Was Milt Kahl right?
Um, does it produce better results? I don't know. My painting wasn't any better than my other ones. Um, I don't know. For me, it works. For me, music and podcasts work when I'm doing something visual. So whether the results are better, I guess you'd have to test it out a few times. I'm sure in theory it makes sense because your brain is putting more energy and focus on one thing than also listening to the music and also listening to the podcast. But
The podcast I would think I don't know, for me personally it'd be a lot harder to focus with that.
it's never been that hard for me. It's never been that hard. It's like sometimes the podcast is like it helps the work go by a little bit faster too because it's like, okay, well, I'll work for another hour after this podcast is done, and then I'll take a
I
break.
don't know, listening. I don't know. I have always had trouble getting information from listening. Like if somebody tells me to do something, I'll just unless I'm totally focused on you, I will forget what you said in a second.
Yeah.
Like that fast. Like I wouldn't have any idea what the verbal instructions were that I was given.
Well, I mean, I can't talk to more than two people at a time. I can't listen to more than two conversations. I think
I
it's
can't.
I
I
think
can't.
it's just
I can barely listen to one.
the
Well,
I
unless
think
unless I'm personally involved in it and focused on it.
I think that's just the brain separating the audio and the visual, I guess.
Oh, I guess that's
I
just
don't know.
how I am. I can take in information very well from reading it.
I just I learned that there was value in your brain just sitting there and just existing. And you want to keep up with all the. There's so many interesting things coming at you. I'm sure that's a problem a lot of people have. Maybe not everybody, but
Have you ever been on
I
a
mean,
vacation where you couldn't be online?
yeah.
How'd you feel? You felt a lot better.
Well, I'm doing stuff with family. I'm hanging out with them. I'm going places. Uh, but I made a point to not go to a computer or a phone as much as I could. Um, and yeah, it does feel better. It does just
You
the
feel
days are
different. You
more.
feel different. You feel very different.
I'm. I did it on when midnight came and I was scrolling through social media. I already felt like a weight. I
It's
already
a
felt
way,
like
yeah.
a
It is different.
stressful weight. Yeah.
That's because you have addiction to social media.
Well, but even my YouTube, even my subscription list on YouTube, I was like
That's why
sighing again. My anxiety was going up, and
that's why
that's just
mine's mostly music.
yeah. So I I immediately felt the difference, even though near the end of the day I was getting a little bored. I mean, I did want to listen to something eventually, so I think
Well, that's
a
what you have
more
your MP3
balanced.
player for. You take your computer speakers and plug it into your MP3 player.
Yeah, I could do that. Um,
That's what I did when I was offline.
well, I think
Plus,
like
I also do have a record collection, so that helps somewhat. It's analog.
I would love a program that could collect all the different podcasts and just like put them in a row. And I'm sure something like that already exists. But
That's what Pocket Cast is. That's what I sent you.
oh,
That's what I listen to my podcasts on at
okay.
work.
And that's just it's an app.
Well, you subscribe to your podcasts, same as YouTube, and it will inform you when there's a new one. I'm quite sure it has a playlist feature too, though I don't use it.
But I mean, like temporarily downloading them off the internet so you can listen to them offline.
It is offline on your phone. Though
Okay.
I use the browser version because it's when I'm at work.
Okay. Well, I mostly have all my most of my podcast subscriptions are on YouTube too. So
Though you do have a smartphone now, so I mean you could get podcast. It costs a couple bucks.
okay.
It's really cheap.
Um, but yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it again. I don't know. I guess the more balanced thing was like I can turn it on to look something up, and if eventually I want to listen to a podcast, I can.
The
But
the iPad gave me that balance, but I am in the minority where I really hate using the internet on the iPad because I'm a 30-year-old boomer. It's not that I can't use it. I really hate it in comparison to a keyboard and mouse,
yeah.
browsing it. So, so if I had to look up something, I really want to if I'm doing it on there.
Have you had a day where you didn't look at anything though?
On the
Like, have you
internet?
tried to
Yeah.
have?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
there was days. 'Cause I told you when I was doing my art lessons from a book. I was
But
doing it from a book.
even if you didn't do art lessons, like, what if you had a day where it was just quiet all day and you just had your thoughts?
And
Do you think
I
you could
just read
do
a
that?
book. I mean, I have a hard time believing anybody just sat in a room and just did nothing all day. That's pretty ridiculous.
It might be worth
No,
trying
but
though.
whoever did that, I mean, you do something
It
with your
doesn't-
life.
Most no, most of the day, but
Well, I mean, a quiet day to me would be, sitting outside with a book.
mhm,
I mean, that's about as minimal as I get.
okay, yeah.
I mean, I would say
But
it's quite minimal.
even you could have even if you just like sat there just thinking for a long period of time, you know.
I mean, I mean, on vacations or whatever, I have had that kind of downtime where I was there for, I don't know, half hour or so with nothing.
I think it's worth it to have those
I
moments.
never started scratching. I mean, I never started scratching from it.
Hmm.
I don't know. Have you ever really just sat around doing nothing? I mean, I don't think anybody in history has done that really, unless it was solitary confinement.
Um, I mean, I spent some of the day where I just kind of like, okay, I made a commitment to not turn on the computer. And so there were times where I was just kind of done reading, done drawing,
There was
and
days I was totally offline.
yeah, I did have moments where I just kind of sat there, which and just thought about things, which I can do for a long period of time.
No,
I think my
I can too. I
yeah.
can. But isn't that doing something? Because if I was sitting there with my own thoughts, I would have a notebook with me, jotting down ideas or
So you
something.
still think the thinking is doing something?
I mean, to me, it would be because if you put me in a room by myself, I would be thinking about stories or
Okay.
projects or something like that. So
I I guess
let me ask,
that's what I meant.
if I was alone with my own thoughts, I would have a notebook and I would be
Yeah.
jotting down ideas. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Am I supposed to sit in the room just doing nothing? Well, that would be meditation. That's at some point
You can do
of truly
that, and
nothing.
you could just do just deep thinking and meditation, and everything's just quiet. I don't know. I'm just starting to see some value in it,
Oh
where I
no,
would
okay,
just
so yes, I have done that because that to me is brainstorming, I guess, at that point. Uh, and if you were truly trying to flush your mind, you fall into meditation.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know about flushing my mind. It's just giving your brain a break. And I mean, some people are scared of their own thoughts, though,
So no, I
too.
get what you
So
mean. That's not bad. I mean, I guess that's brainstorming to me.
okay.
That's what I would be doing because I haven't done meditation personally.
I
Maybe
was
I
just
should
really
try it.
captured. I was just really captured by that whole thing about the subconscious, and that my personality, or the INFJ personality that we share, our main function is our subconscious. This is some mysterious intuition, things we can't define, and so I should let that do more work, and that requires my conscience kind of just existing and not filling time with just more information from the internet. So that's the value I got out of my break.
So you're talking about slowing down.
Yeah,
That's what I was
slowing
talking
down.
to you about Velplu slowing down. I'm probably not pronouncing his name right. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Okay.
The artist I'm looking at now,
Oh, okay.
Glenn Vilppu. It's Vilppu.
Well, I just have so many ideas I want to get out, and you get mad at yourself that they're not coming out
That
fast enough.
happens to me
I
too.
think.
He really did. I mean, that's the biggest thing he gave me is slowing down for drawing. Everybody else is always telling you to rush it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, isn't it good to consider why you're doing something?
Yeah, of
I
course.
mean, do we really think the great masters of the Renaissance rushed their paintings?
um,
I don't think so. Well,
they did a lot of practicing before they went to do the final one, and then they kind of
he actually goes over those sketches, and it's really they did a lot of planning, a lot of it.
what was who did the Sistine Chapel?
Michelangelo.
Okay, yeah. He had practiced it tons of times before he did the final one because um I think he had to do it fast. I forget what kind of paint he was using, but it dried incredibly quickly. And so he had to do it fast. So he had to
Yeah,
get up there.
I was right, and I always doubt myself, but I was right this time.
Well, if you didn't have the internet for a day, you wouldn't know.
I would know if I was right. Well, I am an artist, so I should know that one. But Michelangelo, you know how he's known for his paintings now? Did you know that at his time he was known as a sculptor, and when they asked him to
Mhm.
do the Sistine Chapel, he's like, I'm a sculptor though.
Hmm.
That's what he was known for. I'm a sculptor. You can tell by his paintings too once you know that. They're very
Yeah.
solid, very solid construction, and
Yeah.
he spends time defining the muscles. All the muscles. But no, he's
Yeah.
known
That
for
makes
paintings now.
sense.
But he was a sculptor, and he was not known
Yeah.
for painting.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. His drawings are very three dimensional. His paintings. But yeah, he did. They did have to do those. He did have to do those really fast. So he had to practice the images so much that they were like second nature to do perfectly in a short period of time.
And it
Um,
shows how a digital art, like typically our process nowadays is to keep slapping undo or going to a new layer for safety. We're trying to do it all at once now. We're trying to do all those steps at once on that one canvas.
yeah, that's true.
And it really, and we have the ability to move it around. Like you can just take one character and move it way into the background if you wanted to. You can rotate it. And it causes a lot of cheating. It really causes chaos until you finally get to that last stage.
It's a little bit of a handicap more than a convenience.
It is, yeah. It is. It definitely is.
Hmm.
It really, composition was so good because they did so many thumbnail sketches. And here we are talking about
Yeah,
art instead of why get off the internet. So I guess it ties into it.
yeah, it does.
Thumbnail sketches are really important, and it's not something I ever do. Do you ever do them?
Thumbnails, yeah,
Yeah, you do thumbnails.
yeah. Um, well, it ties into it because it's like it's just part of the digital world, kind of limiting us in a way.
It's hard for me to get into the mindset of this is just a thumbnail and it shouldn't be perfect. It should just be, it should just be quick.
Hmm.
It's hard for me to get into that mindset of it's not supposed to be a finished piece.
Well, you're just trying to get the composition and plan the whole thing out and
Yeah,
frame it.
yeah. You should do it small too. It should be small because it's all for composition, really.
Right, right. They're sometimes they're more fun to do than the final one, and sometimes your drawing ends up looking better than the final one. So,
It is
like,
because it's small too. It's not supposed to be as detailed, so you're not expecting it to have that. And when you get big, you can get lost in the detail, which could take
mhm,
away from the final product.
right. Yeah, we are going off topic.
Of course, that's what we always do.
I mean, yeah, why should you take a break from the internet? So you can have some peace. Because even if it was just good stories all day and good news all day, that's it's just a lot of information, and it's probably more information than we were.
It's information overload. I mean, it's just even though it's interesting, even though it's expanding your mind, you could say, in the end, it's a waste of time. A lot of it. It's not something you need to know. It's not something you'll ever use.
There's plenty of things you don't need to know from
Exactly.
that
You
you get
don't.
from the
Yeah.
internet, which is, I guess, part of why I'm stuck with what I want to do for like streaming because I don't want to waste people's time. I just don't want to put more things out there on the internet, you know. Um,
Well, we were talking about it. Like Varg said, stop wasting my time, Race.
yeah,
Well, you don't like him, but he isn't wrong. That even though we agree with these with these right wing YouTubers, it's like, I mean, it's 20 minutes a piece or plus is like, you don't need to know most of it. It didn't need to take that long to get to the point.
they repeat themselves a lot.
They do well because partly because YouTube demands a certain time. 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 seconds, I think is the magic number you have to go
Yeah.
over for that second ad. And you can tell like
Yeah.
some of them, like RGT, the guy that you hate, RGT85. He purposely says the full name of systems and games just to try and stretch it out those extra few
Oh God.
seconds. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed
I
that
don't want to.
people do
First of
that?
all, first of all, don't say I literally hate somebody. Okay, I just don't like the speaking style. Okay. Second of all, yes, I notice. I notice this a lot. I think
Like every time he will say the Nintendo Switch, like why would you say that? You would just say the Switch. I mean, I mean, his audience knows what the Switch is.
that's just yeah. That's sad.
Or if the game has a subtitle, he will say the entire thing.
It's really quality quantity over quality.
And it's not like him wanting to do that. He doesn't want to do that. It's YouTube forcing him to make his video over 10 minutes 2 seconds every time.
Shorter videos always have more value than the
They
longer
do.
ones.
Well, are you telling me that we should make shorter videos instead of hour-long rants?
You kind of cut out a bit.
Are you saying that we should make shorter videos rather
Maybe
than
we should.
hour-long rants?
Maybe we should.
We should.
Are we just putting more crap out on the internet?
We are.
It's just more just two guys
Wow.
repeating themselves every week.
Good. Well, we always go off on tangents rather than doing that
Mm-hmm.
into different topics.
It's true. Do
That's
our tangents have any value for the outside world?
well,
Are we wasting people's time
there's
right
no
now?
audience here, so I guess they're saying that you are.
Yeah, but there'll be an audience someday, like in 5 years, and they're like, "This is what these guys were like 5 years ago."
What losers?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh,
They
thanks for
were
wasting my
wasting
time
my
right now.
time.
Thanks for I listened to your podcast. I didn't get that much out of it. Yeah, me either. I mean, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy having these conversations, but sometimes I do wonder that just everybody has the ability to talk in front of a camera and just talk and talk and talk. But are you thinking more about what you're talking about? Because even with, we talk about how much we love Tim Pool. He's doing like 3 videos every day and he constantly says the same things over and over again.
Guys, I am a I am a social liberal. I am center left,
We're,
guys. I'm center
don't
left.
left libertarian, center left. I think we could have a progressive tax rate, but it's just like I don't know if your plans are working. It's just like, yeah, yeah. It's I mean, I look at some of my older cartoons. Like, how do I explain this?
Are you talking about your cringy past now?
I No, I have a cartoon that I haven't even I didn't put it on my Pinterest of the 2016 election, how crazy it was, and I have Hillary as a witch and Bernie going, it's okay to steal from rich people. And I got Ted Cruz with like looking like a snake with grabbing money. I forget what that was even about. I forget who Ted Cruz was taking money from. I don't even remember. But he's there as a snake, as an evil creature. And then I have Rand Paul with a little torch of liberty looking sad. And I have Trump on the bottom just going blah, 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 blah. And he's angry. Then I became a little bit of a Trump supporter. And like we voted for him. We were excited for him to do a good job. I don't think he's doing a good job anymore. But so I didn't want to show that cartoon because it was like, well, now I kind of semi support Trump. Now I'm just sick of I don't even care anymore. I'm not going to vote for him again. So I guess the cartoon is relevant again, but I don't even remember what was bad about Ted Cruz because he had some good stuff after the election too. So I don't even know. I don't even remember what. That's like a cartoon I spent a lot of time on to make Ted Cruz look like a
Yeah.
snake, and I don't even remember why Ted Cruz is a snake.
Well, it was also a repeat of what other people were saying during the election too.
Yeah, and now I'm ANCAP, anarcho-capitalist, and I'm wondering if voting even means anything. I'm wondering. I don't even care about elections that much. I don't think they're going to change anything
What happened to our past show about voting?
about about.
About should we vote?
See, I forget about that.
You
Wasn't
forgot
it?
that show.
We did a show specifically on voting.
Yeah, well, you said you came to the conclusion that that anarchists have to participate in the voting, and that's worthwhile.
Yeah, I still don't even know. I still don't even know where I stand on.
Well,
I found.
at the end you stood that we should vote. At the end, I said, nah, it's not. Doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
Well, now I'm starting to move more towards that position.
Well,
And then I
I
make a.
was of the mind that local elections was worth it because you could actually influence it. Like really local.
Mhm. That immediately dates all of that. Like, if my journey on, if I had put out all my thoughts on YouTube, then I'd have tons of YouTube videos out there that I don't even agree with any.
Well, people's positions change. I wouldn't really think that badly of someone about that. But some people
No, I
do.
know.
Some people think you're supposed to just be a static personality forever.
No, but back then, it could have just been your circle of friends who like knew where you stood and knew that you changed your mind. Now it can be the entire world.
Yeah.
So it's a little more complicated.
So we're almost hitting an hour race,
Okay.
and you're off on another tangent.
Yeah. Well, it's just about the general. We were talking about the information over. Like, people love sharing their thought. I like sharing my thought and all that. I want to do it a little bit more. But, I just get that thing in my head that I'm not like I feel like I should maybe make like short, concise videos or write articles that I spend a lot of time on and like flesh out thoughts.
I was suggesting that around the time we were beginning.
What, shorter
Shorter
videos?
videos, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could do ones where we edit. We don't want to edit ourselves though, remember? Remember how much you said we would hate watching ourselves back?
Well, I guess so. Yeah. I don't know. Got to edit them down.
Which is going to be another weird thing, right? Because imagine somebody's like, "Hey, I found a show online," and they come back to you and like, you said this, and you don't even remember saying it. I know that's
Yeah.
another thing that happens with podcasters. That's surreal to me too.
Back on April 2nd, 2008, you said, you s- but now you're
Yeah,
saying the opposite.
right. And now that exists forever of like a bad idea that you put out there ignorantly. But I
Or the
mean,
world changed, you changed. I don't know. I don't think badly of people about that. I don't. I mean, new information happens, the world changes, you change, your life changes. I mean,
well, I don't think you do it on purpose. It's just
people are not static TV personalities.
I know it's just when you constantly record yourself, it's just that stuff is out there forever. It like freaks me out a bit.
It's freaking you out.
Yeah.
That's okay. When the collapse comes, the internet will be gone
Will it?
temporarily. Temporarily.
I mean, that
Depends
stuff's
on
still
how
going to be
bad it is.
archived somewhere, right?
Well, I'm gonna have music and anime on my hard drives. I'm not saving people's podcasts though. No, somebody is though. Somebody is out there.
Mm.
That hard
Yeah.
drive. If that hard drive survives, we have it, and they're gonna call you out.
It's of it's of so little value that basically to make a living doing it, you're just basically asking for donations
E-begging.
and extra attention from the creator. I wouldn't even know what to do with my Patreon like service when I start it.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up.
Take a
Okay.
break from the internet. Try it. Try
Give it
it
a
where you don't
shot.
turn on the computer all day. See what happens to your mind. See your brain reset itself.
And
Uh,
if you're not an introvert, go outside.
Yeah, and your brain will be forced to confront some things. You'll learn more about yourself. You'll think about things you haven't thought about in a long time.
And
Let your
it could be scary.
It could be scary, but face it. And
Face your inner demons. And
yeah,
phones are cheating, and so is online games.
face face what's in your head, sort that out, clean that up, and then you can balance out the distractions more, let new information in, but deal with the information
And
that's already there.
if you have a problem with video games, then take a break from that.
Yeah, you need to fasting from a lot of things is good. Just to learn more about yourself without certain things, and tell us how it goes.
All right.
Ask yourself the right questions.
Ask yourself the right questions to
Yes,
yourself.
and your brain will have the time and energy to find some answers. The answers are probably in there. You're just playing so many games, your brain doesn't have time to deal with them or bring them to the surface. The subconscious is very mysterious.
We actually did have a whole show on distractions, so
Yeah,
so you
you can go back.
gotta stop those distractions. Primarily, that's what it is.
It can be another podcast for you to distract yourself.
All right, so we're here Thursdays, at around 9 p.m. lately.
Hmm.
Though officially we're supposed to be 8 Eastern Standard Time.
It doesn't matter. Nobody's waiting for him. So.
Oh, okay. So we'll see you next time. See ya.